morning, everyone. I'm going to be giving a briefing this morning on the preliminary safety aspects of the AW139. General description of the aircraft: very high main rotor system, high main tail rotor system. In general, clearance for people should be fine with the main rotor. However, in terrain that is rough, rising terrain on left and right, you still have to be cautious of the main rotor and the tail rotor, as they could become quite low to the ground. The main access points for the medical crew will be the main sliding door on either the left or the right side of the aircraft. That is also how the patient will be loaded, and also the baggage compartment, which is directly below the exhaust on the aft part of the upper deck. The pilot in command, also known as the PIC or the captain, is responsible for the safety of all personnel on board the aircraft, as well as the aircraft itself, including all regulatory compliance. Please follow the direction of the captain at all times. This next section, we're going to be talking about the sliding door operation on the AW139. As you can see, the general layout is a standard sliding door. However, there's added complications with how the door fastens that I'm going to go through at this point in time. To open the door, the first thing you need to do is pull the handle towards you. The handle will move about 1.5 inches away from the door frame. That unlocks a pin that allows the handle to move now. Now, with the handle in this position, move it to the aft position and ensure that you're holding the handle all the way to the aft position. What that does, there's 4 pins, one on the top, one on the bottom, one on the front, and one on the back. By moving this handle all the way to the aft position, it retracts these pins into the frame of the door. That way there'll be no interference with the frame of the aircraft. So with the handle held in the aft position, which is the open position, just smoothly slide the door all the way to the aft position, and it will actually lock. The handle will then retract to roughly a 7/8 position. That's its natural rest position. When the door is locked, open in this position. To release the door and slide it forward, you'll have to move it to the aft position again. And again, that will retract the pins into the door frame itself. So while you're holding the handle in the aft position, you can start to move the door forward. Gently press with your other hand on the aft part of the door, and once it's in its half-seated position, push the handle forward and it locks in a closed position. Okay. Next thing, I'm going to go through a couple of other things you have to watch out for with the door. There's a maintenance access step on this panel right here. This step will be regularly used by the engineers and possibly the pilots when they're on the aircraft. What you have to be aware of with that step in the down position, when you open the door, it won't allow full travel of the door. So as you can see, there's a little bumper here. Just gently move the door back to that position if the step is down, and it's open to about the 3/4 position at this point in time. One other thing I'll point out, this is the shore power receptacle under this panel. So this panel will actually be down most of the time when the aircraft's in the hangar. The next thing that we're going to talk about here is emergency exit from the aft cabin. We'll start with the exterior first, then we'll move to the interior following this section. The three windows here are the primary emergency exit points if the door does not work properly. It's very simple. You simply push on one of the points that says emergency push here. Give it a good hard push. and that the window will basically fall inward, and at that point you can either pull it out or just push it all the way inward. This opening now becomes the exit for the cabin. Okay, we're just going to go through a close-up of the sliding door handle operation. So once again, pull the handle towards you. You'll notice it comes out about an inch, inch and a half. It's fairly stiff, so you're going to have to rotate it all the way to the aft position and then hold it there. Then the door moves away from the airframe and you can smoothly slide it backwards. To close it, again, you want to make sure the handle is held in the aft position, because this is the normal at rest position, sprung loaded there. So hold it in the aft position. Using your other hand, gentle pressure on the aft part of the door. Close the door, and it's locked closed now. We're now going to talk about the baggage compartment and operation of the baggage door. Baggage door section is this area here. The handle is in the lower middle part of the door. There's a push labeling on the handle itself. You push this with your thumb, the handle pops out. Grab the handle with your hand, rotate it downwards. There's 2 pins on either side. They're retracted when you have the handle in the downward position. Then just lift up. And it's on a pneumatic shock. Extends the door for you. And you now have access to the baggage compartment. There's a protective cover that you can fold down, so when you're loading or unloading equipment, this will just protect the frame and the paint of the aircraft. Here, if you can swivel your camera up, Paul, here's the pins that lock the door in the closed position. So I'm going to close the door now, flip this up, pull this down. I have to rotate the handle to the fully open position so the pins are retracted. Close it. We're now going to go through the operation of the sliding cabin doors from the inside. This is the handle that actuates the sliding door. You notice there's a button that you actually have to push, so this is a little different than the outside of the door. So grab the door with your left hand, push the button in with your thumb, and you have to rotate the handle aft. And this will release the pins on the door. It will move out and aft, allowing you to open the door. To close it, similar to the outside of the door, you have to move the handle to the aft position. You do not have to hold the thumb button down at this point in time. You have to hold on this grab handle here to help seat the door and rotate the handle forward. And the door is locked closed. As you can see, it's a little more difficult to close the door from the inside than it is from the outside, so the normal operation would be the safety pilot will be closing the door for missions from the outside. Last thing I'll point out, there are grab handles at 3 points on the door to assist exiting and entering the aircraft. There's also further grab handles on the roof that can be used to help enter the aircraft or in passengers can hang on to when in turbulent flight. In the full aft position, the sliding door, the inside handle is not accessible from the inside the cabin, as you can see. So the normal operation again would be someone outside the cabin would initiate closing the door. When loading a patient on board the AW139, the left or right sliding door will be used. Personnel will occasionally come back to the baggage compartment area of the aircraft for various pieces of equipment. There should be no reason to move aft of the baggage compartment door. If personnel need to move from the left side of the aircraft to the right side of the aircraft or vice versa, walk around the nose of the aircraft. Do not go around the tail or duck under the tailwheel itself. We're going to go through the operation of the emergency exit windows. There's 3 of these windows right beside the aft-facing seat and the 2 in the sliding door. The right-hand side of the aircraft is identical. To action these windows, there's a red tab Velcro to the door frame. Lift up on this tab, give this a pull. This tab's attached to a wire which is encased in this rubber seal around the window. Pull the wire out, push on the window, and the window will pop away from the aircraft. You can see it's quite a large opening. That's what will now become your emergency exit for the aircraft. Any one of the 3 windows can be used. They all operate the same way. We're going to go through the operation of the seat belts. All the seats have the same seat belt configuration, so they all action the same. This is how you will see the seat belt. There's simply a right and a left portion of it with a buckle. Have a seat, find the straps. You notice there's 2 buckles on the left side and the receptacle action on the right hand side. Push it in. The shoulder harnesses are on an inertia reel, so you will be able to move forward. However, if I move forward too quickly, the shoulder harnesses will lock. Once the seatbelt is buckled, there's 4 adjustment points, just like there are in the BK. You can adjust your lap with this tab here. This will loosen the lap belt. You pull on the extra extension pieces, that'll tighten it. Same thing applies for the shoulder harness. You pull on this tab here, that'll loosen it. It's as loose as it'll go for myself. And you can also tighten it up. As I mentioned, the shoulder harnesses are on an inertia reel. You can also lock the inertia reel. There's a small knob under my left thigh, underneath the seat. Flip that forward. Shoulder harness is now locked. To release the seat belts, simply turn the central buckle. Seat belt releases, and move your shoulders clear. Go through the action and motion of the seats. All seat positions, you can rotate them left or right or move the seat fore and aft as required. To move the seats, you should be in the seated position but not with the full weight on the seat. So using one of the overhead grab handles, use this handle to take a little bit of the body weight off the seat. These 2 levers here are what action the seat. The right hand lever allows fore aft movement. The left hand lever allows the left and right movement. So using the right hand lever, slightly off the seat, pull the lever up and let it go for the new position. Left hand lever, lift it up and hold it, and that allows left-right motion on the seat. In this configuration, this will allow airway access for the paramedic. We're going to talk about the intercom system and the connections for the helmets. The intercom connection box is very similar to what we have in the BK. There's a slider switch on the top here. So in this central position here, you would have to push it to talk to your crewmates. The normal position would be locked in the voice activated system so that you could just talk normally, which is the configuration we have in the BK right now. This button right here is the transmit button to talk on the radios. The connection, just your standard plug-in type connection for the helmets. Each forward station has its own intercom control box, left and right. We will go through the details on that when we get into the in-depth training on the cabin. There's also a third intercom box at the aft part of the cabin, which will control the volume and the radios that are being listened to for the 2 aft passengers in the cabin. To operate the pilot's doors at the front, this is the normal locked position. Simply rotate the handle upward and hold it in the upward position. This will release this pin. That's high. Hydraulic actuator at the top, which will hold the door open. And the door is now held open in that position. To close it, just gently push the door to the closed position. Hold the handle up, which will retract this pin. Close it like that. For the emergency actuation, it's the same as the 3 windows on either side of the cabin. There's an emergency push position from the exterior. Push on here, and that'll start to dislodge the window, and then you can either push it in or pull it out. In the event of an emergency situation where the engines are still running and the pilots are incapacitated, the crew may have to shut the engines to the aircraft down. It is very easy to do in this aircraft. You simply have to come to the engine control panel and the fuel control panel. These 2 rotating switches here are the engine controls, number 1 and number 2. To shut the engines down, turn both of these switches to the off position as they are now. Turn the fuel pumps both off, and these red triangular switches, these are the fuel valves, turn those off. With all 6 of these switches in the off position, the engine will shut down. The last thing that you will need to potentially shut down as the AMC is the electrical power to the aircraft, and that's on the upper console. So this will be the configuration that the aircraft is in when it's running. Pull this red bar aft, shut those 2 switches off, and that will shut down all electrical power to the aircraft. The switch to operate the emergency locator transmitter, or ELT, is located in the cockpit to the left side of the center screen. Its normal position is the armed position. In the event of an emergency, with the pilots incapacitated, open the cockpit doors and move the switch to the on position. That will activate the emergency locator transmitter. When departing on a mission on the helicopter, ensure that you wear appropriate clothing and footwear for the conditions outside. The general rule of thumb is that you should plan to be comfortable to spend the night outside in the current environmental conditions. There are survival equipment and extra survival gear on board the aircraft that will be covered in later module. The crew cabin fire extinguisher is located behind the number 1 seat at the bottom of the shelving unit. A black strap holds it in place with a snap. Undo the snap and remove the fire extinguisher from its compartment. A second fire extinguisher is located in the cockpit. It's mounted by a strap at the aft part of the lower console.